So Mr. Beast has been exposed. You know, for real this time. It's not really surprising considering that Mr. Beast is the biggest channel on YouTube, that pretty much everybody who has something on him comes solve it eventually. And it seems that this has happened, okay? Recently, a video by Dogpack44 has dropped, you know, an ex-Mr. Beast employee who kind of talks about some of the stuff he saw while working for Mr. Beast and explains why he believes that Mr. Beast is a fraud. Today, I'm here to say that this video is really, really bad and probably should not be taken seriously. This is insanely poorly put together, and in the next few minutes, I will dissect this video because I think it is genuinely one of the worst exposed videos I've ever seen, and I think it's pretty disturbing that it's currently amassing so much positive attention without anybody criticizing its contents. Let's get going. Also, this guy says that he worked for Mr. Beast, when in reality, he got fired after a month of being there for erratic behavior. Make of that what you will, but I thought it was pretty important to mention. Something this guy does throughout the video is describing the most basic concepts in the world in the most dramatic way possible. So Dogpack44 starts this video with I think one of the most bizarre points I've ever seen. He calls out Mr. Beast for calling people to subscribe, which is super stupid.
Mr. Beast intentionally manipulates these children's vulnerable minds for profit using 3 simple steps which closely align with the 3 major types of behavioral learning. That if they subscribe, if they buy products or act in some way that benefits the brand, they will win big rewards. A call to action is simply when you tell the viewer to do something, saying subscribe is a call to action. Early in his career, Mr. Beast found a better version of this where he takes a call to action and he adds positive or negative reinforcement to it. Now, as adults, we can recognize that subscribe for a cookie is a joke. It's not a real offer, but again, Mr. Beast's audience is primarily children who may have authorities in their life that actually use sweet treats or video game detentions as forms of reinforcement.
This is so common on YouTube. Like, no reasonable individual actually thinks Mr. Beast will personally hand deliver a cookie to your home if you subscribe. I'm sorry. Next up, Dogpack44 tries to allege that Mr. Beast fakes his videos.
Mr. Beast videos are real, and he's a great guy that gives away big rewards to his loyal followers. I will show you irrefutable evidence in a minute that his videos are in fact fake. Mr. Beast fakes his videos in ways that are worse than you realize.
The evidence he pulls up for that is that Mr. Beast uses CGI, and yeah, that's it.
This train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, this shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake.
Yeah, this is obviously CGI. Mr. Beast doesn't claim these parts are real. Also, this point about that shredder being fake, it's fake in the intro. In the actual video, you know, at the end, the shredder is real. This is the same argument as saying that, like, oh, increasing the saturation on something is deceptive because that's not the actual video. Like, yeah, people know Mr. Beast edits his videos. Nobody thinks that that's a real explosion. And using it as evidence that, you know, Mr. Beast fakes his videos is completely stupid. They simply exaggerate events taking place, right? Like, nothing would change if those were actual shots of a wheel going really fast. The issue with this is you need to explain why it's bad. This might as well be an argument against video editing. You can't just simply state, oh, look, that wheel there isn't real, in then like an attempt to disparage Mr. Beast.
Now it's your turn to do what Mr. Beast tells you and you will win big rewards. But you actually won't unless you're famous or friends or family of a Mr. Beast employee.
At no point throughout the video does Mr. Beast actually state that these are always random subscribers, Brian. And this also isn't true. We see Mr. Beast posting publicly about options for subscribers to apply. If this guy's saying, you know, that these are always, you know, even when Mr. Beast is outright stating that these are subscribers, right? Which would be a lie if they weren't. Yeah, pretty simple. You need evidence of that. You can't just say it and expect people to believe it. Like, I'm sorry, if you're attacking the biggest guy on the platform with claims that he's a fraud, right? Like, that's career-ending stuff. If people start believing that Mr. Beast is a fraud, it's over for him, okay? You can't just like do this with hearsay. You need actual evidence. Also, I'm probably gonna skip over some points that I don't think are worth responding to or that I already cover in some form because I really don't want to waste your or my time.
According to a former Mr. Beast employee, it would have been a PR problem if the boys had won by a lot. And because so many of the female contestants were Mr. Beast employees who got out immediately, production stepped in to actually make the results of the challenge closer. You can actually see some of this happen on camera, like when Jimmy pays one of the boys $10,000 to leave, which is twice as much much as the actual prize money, but doesn't make the same offer to the girls. And in traditional media, this kind of rigging is actually completely illegal.
And then we have a standards and practices person. And if you don't know what that is, on any kind of a game show where there is a prize, you have to have somebody that ensures that it's fair. They are out there essentially to make sure that we don't do something that would favor one player or one tribe.
And saying that this stuff is technically illegal is completely stupid because obviously rigging implies that he's doing it secretly, okay? He's doing this on camera. Do you think an operation as big as MrBeast would be stupid enough to do something like that? This isn't even like classified as a game show. And obviously, I don't think I need to tell you that applying the same standards to, you know, YouTube videos as to like game shows on television is just dumb. And in his journey, you know, to find evidence that MrBeast is faking his videos or like, I guess, lying about something, he's now accusing MrBeast of not genuinely endangering the life of a contestant.
When he reaches the bottom floor, he has to turn these water valves. Now you can tell that these valves aren't actually connected to anything because the water flows out in an instant, and it happens when he's not even touching the valve. The contestant also goes back to the first valve unaware that anything had happened, and he's still able to spin it. So the valve seems to spin freely and isn't actually connected to the flow of water. So you could assume that producers might be off camera with remote switches to trigger the flow of water. And assuming they've tested this, the producers might know how long it takes for the water to clear out of the room, so they can sort of decide on the fly how many turns of the valve it takes, or just when to trigger the water in general to make the results close.
This is just the same point over and over again. You need to explain why something is bad. Simply stating the fact that this valve is not actually connected to the water doesn't mean that MrBeast is a fraud, as the base expectations of the viewer are being met. This doesn't change anything. Like, does anybody actually think MrBeast kills contestants with his laser beams?
No! Bro, these lasers are really dangerous.
Determining if any MrBeast giveaways have been illegal lotteries, we need to identify a prize, which is distributed through random chance and cannot be won without spending money. On August 2nd, 2020, MrBeast live streamed him and his friends signing limited edition shirts celebrating 40 million subscribers. And here are just some of the clips from that stream.
For those of you who are just joining, if you buy one of our limited edition 40 mil special shirts, we're celebrating 40 million subscribers with a really big video, then we will sign that shirt, and some of them will get random prizes like this.
And you know, while this might be a legitimate point, you know, again, I am also not a lawyer, okay? Like, I can't really judge whether or not this would technically be considered a sweepstake. What this guy is talking about now is something that happened 4 years ago and has clearly been addressed already, because for the Feastable sweepstakes he refers to later throughout the video, the no purchase necessary thing is constantly referenced. I think the main problem with addressing something like this, like that the point of the video is that MrBeast is a fraud, implies that, you know, he at least has some knowledge of what he's doing, right? You are assuming ill intent here, where you just don't have proof that MrBeast was familiar with sweepstakes law. This could have genuinely been a mistake that has clearly been resolved already.
Another shady thing he did was constantly suggest that they're doing too many giveaways to make a profit.
My guy over there doing the numbers is like, stop, please. It's like, you do realize every time you give away an Xbox and $1,000, you don't make money. I'm like, oh, I know we're not gonna make money. What are we doing, guys? We're gonna check after the stream and it's gonna be like,
oh no, what a waste.
Yeah, I know. We're gonna break neutral.
Alright, next up, MrBeast is being attacked for trying to sell t-shirts, which I think anybody, you know, who isn't special ed would probably realize that he wants to sell t-shirts. I don't think anybody would think that he's being very serious here. This is just kind of a tongue-in-cheek way to get that point across. This is nothing but a joke. And obviously, MrBeast is gonna look bad if you start taking jokes and start assuming he's being serious. You can make the argument that, you know, he's outgrown that kind of ability to make jokes because too many people would misinterpret it, which is fair. But saying that he's, you know, manipulating the audience here is just a bad argument.
Another thing that just annoys me is Jimmy constantly says during these live streams that he's just doing this for fun because he loves giving things away.
Oh, and I just like giving away stuff. It's kind of fun to me.
Imagine you just lost a bunch of money at the casino and the owner comes out and he says, guys, the reason I do all this, I just love giving away money.
MrBeast is not the same as a casino owner. He clearly doesn't profit off this as much as one would. And it's public record that he isn't living a lavish lifestyle.
Multiple people claiming that their name was read to win a prize and they never received it. This person is still tweeting about it to this day.
I'm not saying that what Mr. Beast is doing here is, morally super good. I personally don't think that these kinds of events are easy for a team, even the size of his to pull off. And I do believe that mistakes like the ones he mentions happen. Similar to how mistakes like this happen with any orders in any company. Also, Mr. Beast or his team must have quickly realized just how complicated this is because they obviously stopped doing it over a year ago. You are calling out an issue that has been addressed in the past already. How many people do you think contact Mr. Beast about anything? At the size of his channel, it must be close to impossible to look at every 2-like tweet about you. He could have simply missed this. Also, our friend Dogpack mentioned that the account he mentions, Cody260908864, tweets about it to this day, being around July 2024. This is simply not the case, as his last tweet was in April of 2023, more than a year ago. How would Dogpack know that amends haven't been made? He's just speculating about something again.
Reading all this really upsets me because I spent money I honestly didn't have for 5 shirts at different times during the live when they said things like buy now and you will get prize or money. And I received 2 orders and nothing but shirt, both with MB and one with a heart and one with a smiley. I was hoping for at least a couple things for Christmas for my family. This commenter also goes on to explain that she's disabled, has PTSD.
This sounds pretty sad at a first glance. But if you're a legal adult, I'm sorry, if you spend $100 that you don't have to participate in a Mr. Beast giveaway, that is not Mr. Beast's fault. At no point does he guarantee that, if you order now, everybody will get something, okay? If you cannot comprehend that, you should not even be able to manage money because you're clearly completely irresponsible.
Lotteries and scams specifically target vulnerable populations like that. I'm disappointed. My son bought a signed shirt and was so excited. He watched a live stream and saw that people who bought would receive $100. He was excited to win something and be a part of his favorite streamer, Mr. Beast. When the shirt arrived, he was grinning from ear to ear. When he realized that there was no $100, he was visibly disappointed. He said nothing other than, I guess he meant everyone except me. He loves his shirt, but I'm really upset seeing him hurt.
This guy has simply not established the fact that this is a scam, Framing it as such is just dishonest. Also, children cannot simply order things like this online. A parental figure has to be present to some degree. This is not Mr. Beast's fault or responsibility.
This limited tee signed by Mr. Beast and crew, but the description says it's signed by a member of the Mr. Beast crew, and it doesn't say anywhere that other members will sign MB, deceiving people into believing it was signed by Mr. Beast.
You know what? This is the first part I really had with this guy. Mr. Beast should probably not sell fake signatures. Kinda shitty, yes. Worthy of an hour-long video?
So in January 2021, 3 months after the last shirt signing stream, Mr. Beast did a live stream where for only $10, viewers could send a picture to the moon. 3 years later, the spaceship finally launched, carrying beautiful pictures of deceased loved ones to the moon where they would be immortalized. It fucking exploded. So obviously Mr. Beast refunded everyone, right? Right? Is it Mr. Beast's fault that the rocket exploded? No. Is it his fault that he advertised it as for $10 I will put your photo on the moon?
For $10, I'll put whatever picture you want on the moon.
When he couldn't guarantee that? Yes, of course.
Mr. Beast has every reason to believe that a NASA-sanctioned mission will indeed take place. This isn't his rocket. Do you expect him to go there, chuck the things up himself? And this probably leads us to the dumbest points in the entire video.
A large part of Feastable's marketing campaign was the fact that it's a better for you brand, that it's healthier for you than Hershey's. Less sugar, only 4 ingredients, all organic. Now in 2024, Mr. Beast changed the formula again to where it has mostly the same ingredients as Hershey's and even more sugar and more calories per bar. And this initial ad for Feastables where he calls it healthy is still getting millions of views a month.
Oh my god, we are genuinely leaving any good faith behind. This guy's currently comparing the calorie counts and sugar content of 2 differently sized chocolate bars without adjusting for the size. What are we trying to do here? Also, if we did adjust them correctly, you would realize that, this is pretty comparable. It's not as if Mr. Beast's chocolate bars have like a significantly higher amount of calories. Also, again, the notion that calories are a measure of health is completely brain dead. Is a rock healthier than a banana if it has less calories? Obviously not. And as someone that claims to be practically a nutritionist, you know this. or are too incompetent to realize what's actually going on.
Everyone knows it's just the call to actions and call to action giveaways especially that drive sales. As soon as they stop, it's hard for large bargain retailers to sell this shit for 70% off. That's why they push them so hard. Once they stop the diabetes lottery, no one buys.
If you've ever been in a grocery store, you will quickly realize that many brands have done the concept of selling things with the potential of winning something in the past.
And to enter for free, you have to mail in separate 3" by 5" hand-addressed written index cards, up to 10 a day. Do you think kids are gonna do that shit or just beg their parents when they're at Walmart for the YouTuber diabetes lottery ticket? How is this legal? How do you mail something without making a purchase?
And while this might not be the best or nicest method of selling stuff, MrBeast is operating well in the standards and norms that a society has. This is just deceptive. What's gonna happen next during an hour-long video exposing Willy Wonka for putting golden tickets into his chocolate bars?
Problem gamblers have highest suicide rate of any addiction disorder. Studies show there has been a recent rise in gambling products targeting children. Maybe video game loot boxes and unregulated online casinos partnering with YouTubers and streamers are to blame. Either way, I find it concerning. At a time when the youth are living behind 7 layers of irony and 3 anime profile pictures, it's hard to know what's a joke and what is sincere. I've seen ironic gambling memes be used as genuine justifications for financial suicide. Make no mistake, if you gamble, you're a moron. If you promote gambling, you are king of the artards. It's not too late to escape from this idiocracy timeline.
But I do like how we have, with barely anything that could be considered evidence, are now jumping to make MrBeast responsible for the suicides of children. And you can't tell me that MrBeast is getting kids hooked on gambling. Whoever did win something at a giveaway and resorted to hit Vegas the next day? What is he talking about?
And he runs these sweepstakes to bribe children with gambling to consume more sugar. This is far worse than a lottery ticket because a lottery ticket doesn't give you diabetes and only pay out your rich and famous friends. MrBeast is bringing hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of new people to the candy aisle, whether he wants to admit it or not. Also, maybe I should mention technically I'm a certified nutritionist, which really just means I paid $1,200 for a course and then failed to launch a health food company. But I know that poor diet and especially excessive sugar consumption is the #1 cause of death and health problems in America.
Tell me how I'm killing little kids.
New research finds childhood obesity rates are getting worse.
The #1 killer in America is obesity. The number of deaths in overweight people surpass alcohol and smoking altogether.
Everyone, MrBeast is introducing young children to a dangerous new drug called candy. Why won't anybody do something? Let's face it, arguing that MrBeast is responsible for the US's obesity crisis is taking things a bit far. Does this guy think that Jimmy is the only one that sells chocolate? I'd argue that, arguing that any chocolate bar is inherently healthy or unhealthy is probably stupid in the first place because nutrition is such a complex field. Also, just because chocolate is being sold doesn't mean that a country is inherently unhealthy. So at the points where he isn't just dramatizing basic marketing in the most insane ways possible, he's just kind of writing fan fiction.
I got all the Feastable chocolates. Let's try them and rank them 1 to 6. I'm gonna be completely honest. Totally not biased because if it sells more, I make more money. I'm gonna be honest. And I hope Jimmy is sitting next to me and not getting his feelings hurt. Compare it to Hershey's. It's our Crunch Bar. Yeah. This is the one you believe in. Yes. Not crazy, Jimmy. No? You don't like Crunch Bars? I do like Crunch Bars, but again, it's too sweet. Let me try this. Maybe these are defective. Oh my god, this tastes good to me. Wait, we're supposed to be ranking them. I rated the first one, so we're going completely off of. We're in too deep. I rate this a 10 out of 10. I give this an 11 out of 10. Keep in mind, only 5 ingredients. Infinitely healthier for you than the normal thing out there. Also my favorite so far. Okay, here's the thing. I didn't realize you're a dark chocolate guy. I'm not a super dark chocolate guy. I do love dark chocolate. I give this a 7.8 out of 10. Okay, I'm starting to understand this, man. Okay. I'm starting to figure this man out. You're gonna like this one, right? You like salt? I mean, you as a sea salt guy. I'm gonna get rid of these. I love salt. No, I want the try those. No, you just don't. Trust me. You're a dark chocolate kind of guy. Yes, I can read the room. The room is red.
And look, here we got another schizo post.
I think this is a mask-off moment for Jimmy. MrBeast had already filmed content with and promoted Keith. At this point, Jimmy was definitely expecting a favorable review of his chocolate in return. Jimmy is well aware of the law of reciprocity. He uses gift-giving as a business move. Here, though, Keith chose to maintain a level of integrity and give a more honest review than Jimmy wanted. Jimmy clearly feels insecure, out of control, and betrayed at times in this video, and reacts poorly. It's not fair for Jimmy to expect Keith to mislead his audience for Jimmy's profit. Regardless, as a result, Keith likely lost some career opportunities with MrBeast moving forward. Jimmy is a sellout and surrounds himself with yes men.
And once again, how would you ever disprove or prove this statement? This is just speculation. You have no evidence for any of this.
For Halloween this year, Feastables is planning on putting $1 million in a chocolate bar, and they wanted to do a bunch of like scummy marketing and shit. My manager literally said at one point that they wanted to associate buying a Feastables with your dream coming true. So they're pitching ideas like, you know, buy a Feastables, win 10K, buy a Feastables out of a vending machine, and the vending machine just starts spitting out money. Buy a Feastables and it has a ticket to Disney World, whatever, right?
I don't think making this guy responsible for everything is remotely fair. Like, come on, am I the only one that sees how stupid this is? Mr. Beast is a fraud for doing marketing. This guy is calling him out for doing something every single company does. And we don't even know if this is Mr. Beast's sanction or this is just, you know, his manager or something. Obviously, intent matters here, okay? There's a reason we don't accuse every car manufacturer of enabling massacres to take place on our roads every year. At no point malice is proven. In fact, he actually does the opposite when he displays that when called out for not supplying a promised good, the situation was dealt with to some extent.
Okay, now as far as fake giveaways go, I'm sort of limited in what I can say without exposing confidential information and getting sued. So my official statement is that sometimes things slip through the cracks, and personally, I believe that is intentional. Here's one example where someone on Reddit posted saying that they were promised free dog food for life in exchange for letting Mr. Beast use them in a video. 5 months later, they still haven't received their dog food. I actually sent this post to someone who works at Mr. Beast, and they said they were gonna send it to the PR team, and then the Reddit post got taken down. So I don't know if it got resolved.
The guy, who is very clearly not trying to be particularly charitable towards Mr. Beast, is unable to find any evidence for the allegation he's making here. If any of you guys have ever tried to do something on the scale, you quickly realize just how many moving parts are. The stuff is super complicated. Dude, it's completely possible that Mr. Beast's operation is just too big to look into the stuff. Immediately assuming that this is Mr. Beast being an evil fraud is stupid. At the same time, can you like voice criticism about this? Like, oh, should Mr. Beast probably handle this better? Yes. Does this mean he's a bad person? Obviously not. At the time of me recording this video has amassed over 3 million views and over 200,000 likes within 4 days on a completely fresh channel. A video made by someone with an obvious hate boner for Mr. Beast, filled with empty arguments, mischaracterizations, and sheer deception. Nobody has called this out so far, and all the comments I have seen remain positive. There is no Easter Bunny, there is no Tooth Fairy, and there is no Mr. Beast. Bro, why are all famous people either pedophiles or absolute frauds? I'll be honest with you, Mr. Beast being a fraud is one of the least surprising things I've heard. That random guy on Reddit that said Mr. Beast is a fraud all those years ago is literally in tears right now. Normal adults like me have known that Mr. Beast has been scamming kids. The kids have now grown up, and the cat is officially out of the bag. To be honest, not surprised. Jacksepticeye was right about him. 18 years old, and I've never thought it's fake. I'm disappointed in myself. I like how we're just casually watching the potential collapse of the world's biggest online philanthropist. And nobody bats an eye because at this point, every big content creator is a silent villain. What are we doing? In conclusion, this guy's a fucking dipshit.